Here we go. I think we are live on now. Parham, hi, how are you today?
What's going on, man? We are live. I'm doing great, Doc. Thank you for asking. Looking forward to another wonderful stream with you and all the viewers that are on and are going to be on. So
yeah, this is cool, and we're developing as we go. And I apologize. Last week, guys, that was on me. Let me get this thing fixed here. How do I do this? Give me 1 second. I should have had this all done earlier. All right, here we go.
You look good, Doc. We're good.
Is that good? Okay. So this should have been this one. That was on me. I had a thing, sort of an emergency thing come up, but we are committed to this every week. It's just my schedule is so crazy. Hey guys, again, you are welcome to come right on. I'm gonna throw something at Parham. The topic today is the trailer of the movie 4 Good Days, and hopefully we generate some great discussions out of that. TikTok guys, go over to YouTube channel to be able to ask your questions. Otherwise, I'm just on here. Okay, Parham, I saw the trailer. I didn't even know about this because I don't remember the last time I went to a movie. But I did. I guess this is a big deal out there, huh? This movie, 4 Good Days, and it's got some famous actors and actresses on it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Mila Kunis and Glenn Close. These are pretty much A-level Hollywood actors. And anytime there's a movie on addiction, for me, it's always a good movie because it allows to shed light on a macro level on a thing that you and I and the people probably watching this experience on a daily basis. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for about discussing this.
Yeah. So I saw it, and again, I guess I could have looked into it. I guess it's based on a real story. I don't know if you. I purposely didn't look into it because I was asked to just evaluate the trailer,
Sure,
and so I didn't look into it. Do you know what happened to the young lady?
I actually don't know, man. I just watched the trailer too, and the discussion we're going to have is generated from the trailer. But however, when I watched that young lady and her mom in that doctor's office and just hearing about the perpetual cycle of relapse and seeing the codependency, it was as if I've seen this person thousands of times in real life through the recovery process, through the treatment process. It wasn't a unique thing, to Hollywood. This is real life for a lot of people. So even though I don't know what happened specifically in that movie, I've seen that movie thousands of times in real life.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but something else also went off immediately. Anytime I see things I'm familiar with, I kept saying, that's wrong. That few first 8-10 seconds with the doctor, I said, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Why are you doing that? And so I am highly critical of these things, and that will also come out. But I'm also certain with a lot of viewers out there, man, this just must have hurt for those that have either lost loved ones or are struggling with this currently and have for a long time, or it's something new to them, or have gotten over this nightmarish, surreal, almost Kafka-like hump and are looking back. This must have brought out a lot of emotions for so many people. It's just, I can't imagine, and I hope I don't rub anyone the wrong way today. Did you get that feeling as well?
I did, man. I mean, just watching the trailer a few times today just to get more prepared for this talk. I mean, I had goosebumps going, and it was just because when I watched that mom and I watch her struggles and I watch her losing her sanity and just not knowing what to do and losing, her emotional stability, I just thought about my mom, man. It's like I went through this whole addiction cycle. I ran her through the ringer. She was my mom, and she did a wonderful job portraying it. So, yeah, I mean, the empathy that I have for not only people in the recovery process, but people that are, going through the recovery process with someone else, it's really strong. And I'm glad that there is a macro level movie that's portraying it. Now, whether some of the details of it are probably going to be a little bit Hollywood or they're going to be a little bit, made for movie audiences, the totality of it, I think there's a lot of positive there.
Do you plan on watching it?
I do, actually. Yeah, I do.
By the way, guys, feel free to jump in even now. I've asked Nicole to turn on however it is you guys come on to ask questions. So you're always welcome to pop on, and we can divert from this. Parham and I are ready to tackle any questions that we know how to. So pop on. So what were your thoughts in general? Do you have anything specific or something that stuck out at you, or something you want to share just from that trailer?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the highlight of the movie, the highlight of the trailer is just a struggle of a mom and her heroin addicted daughter, right? So that's what you see on the surface, and it starts off with a medical provider like yourself talking about an opioid antagonist and all that kind of stuff we see in the field. However, it leads the viewer to believe that by using this opioid antagonist, that this person can all of a sudden be able to, abstain from drugs and alcohol and be clean and sober because of this one medication. When the root of it is, when you dissect the character a little bit, the Mila Kunis character and the mom, there's a lot of stuff there that has to get processed and resolved in the therapeutic process. Now, will that one injection help with the cravings to bring him down a little bit so she can, not be seeking the drug a little bit more? Probably. But there was so many stuff there. I mean, the patterns of codependency, which anybody wants to talk about today, that'd be wonderful. When loving you is killing me, that's the catchphrase for codependency. You didn't know at times if the mom was the addict or the daughter was the addict, because she started to lose herself in that. I also noticed that there was a relationship with what appeared to be the stepfather, because she was referring to her as her daughter. And so that means, the biological father, what went on over there? Was there addiction with the dad? Was there a bad divorce? Was there a bad breakup? Because I noticed later in the trailer, the mom said to her daughter, hey, I should have been there for you. I should have been there for you. And the daughter said, actually, yes, you should have. And the mom said, are you blaming your addiction on me? So then it leads to a whole new thing, unhealthy communication patterns, right? There's this fear that happens when there's addiction. And there's this fear that happens when there's chaos and marital discord and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is people's communication skills start to significantly decrease. They get frustrated, they get overwhelmed, they get agitated, they start to suppress, they get sad, they suppress. That eventually could turn into, suppressed sadness can turn into depression, could turn into rage. And you see it all in the movie. And the last thing that really stood out to me, which I really hope that, any mom or dad or grandparent or spouse sees this, the mom said, quote, I don't want to love her anymore. And that's kind of a thing that, in our society, we think we either can love someone or we can resent them, but we can actually love someone and resent them. We can actually love someone and have a hard time with what they're going through. There's no or here, and just the battle of her going through trying to help. And she calls it, we go around and around, we end up in the same place, just like addiction. And so there's so many different topics to talk about there. And obviously that the individuals struggling with addictions themselves, was there a step, when the stepfather came in, was there other stepkids? Did she get lost in the shuffle? Did she experience any type of trauma? I guarantee you, if a girl's been to treatment 14 freaking times or 15 times in there, and IV intravenous using drug user, she's experienced some serious trauma, So yeah, the Vivitrol shot might help with the cravings, but the real work, you got to roll up your sleeves, and it happens once that, the individual is able to work on that stuff. So a lot of stuff. Yes, love and resent, not or. It's a beautiful thing if we can get that to understand that it could be both. We don't live in a binary world. We don't live in a black and white world. We don't live in an or world. There's a lot of gray and there's a lot of ands that really bridge two opposing emotions, especially when they're strong.
You brought out so many amazing points. I wouldn't even know where to begin and explore. I'm just going to leave the medical issues on the back burner for now. My God, Parham, where do I begin? It's almost like things exploding in my mind. Let me, I want to bounce things off you. You brought something that I didn't even think about that when she said, I don't want to love her anymore. Did she say, I don't want to resent? I can't recall.
No, but usually when you don't want to love someone anymore, there's some underlying resentment that's leading to that.
So that kind of response is, and in fact, I'm not criticizing anybody. I just want to, the things that you brought out brings out the issues, the sort of conglomerate of issues in our social paradigm and structure of our relationships, of what I consider a lack of meaningfulness in our lives, and the formation of identity as children come up. And you have a mother here that you actually said, you said it beautifully. You said, I don't know who's the addict, the mother or the kid. And wow, I didn't know. I mean, you just, in that little bit, you just caught so much of that. And you're right, the way she was behaving. And it pointed out to so many things. Number one, you're absolutely right. A grown-up, mature, sophisticated relationship with somebody, whether it's your intimate partner, your child, a friend, even a colleague, is not binary. Okay, it's complex, and you don't have to choose one extreme or the other. In fact, I would argue a meaningful relationship evolves over time through two people both learning and adapting. And again, I'm not criticizing parents out there. God knows I have certain complications myself in my life and have had any. This is for all of us to learn that the fundamental structures in our society have really gone to shit in many ways. And I'm not saying this because I'm getting old. I think things are really losing that those important facets that create healthy emotional, psychological, and cognitive development in individuals. And there's a lot of reasons. So that's one. You're right. Number two, what she had gone through also shows this, that codependence thing. And on another level, what you end up seeing is not only is their relationship probably potentially unhealthy, and there could be a lot of trauma in the background. And again, for me, trauma, it's sort of the buzzword nowadays. I consider trauma from long before you're born. And although you can actually have an ICD code now to bill for it, trauma is so many micro mini traumas that go unnoticed that come from lack of placing things in place that people are healthy, educated, and can sort of engage in these things. So, the fact that she is operating in that world, it's devastating on the mom, and it's financially devastating to the family. Think about 15 detoxes at some point, they're just burned out. Everybody's burned out because I think nobody has the tools for the most part how to go about this the right way. And Gabor Mate is really onto this whole issue. It's and I don't want to get too deeply into it. We will get into these things. It's the societal structures and institutions that have been set up. And so you're right. And then there's the father, the stepfather, and so much more that we didn't capture. So I agree with you completely. And love and resent. Leslie P. Set it up there. Thanks, Leslie. The codependency, the traumatic, and Dr. G, who I work with, always says this is a family disease. This is just as much of a nightmare and an impact on the mother, her mental health, her physical health, her financial health, than it is on the daughter. It was just a really great capture of in a few minutes. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there was one more point that I really thought was really stood out to me. Is the mom said to her husband, which is the stepfather, I'm assuming, and said, every time I bring her back into my life, I do it with eyes wide open. Okay. Like she knows what's about to happen when she brings her back into her life. Yet despite of that, she does it again. Now, who does that really sound like? I'm again, a person being in recovery and working with a lot of individuals in recovery.
An addict.
Yeah. A lot of times they say, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen when I pick up the drug. I know exactly what's going to happen when I hit up the Connect or I go hang out with these people. But despite of all that, I do it anyways. Now, that's a huge phenomenon because once you're able to see the addict and the codependent as the same behavior patterns, then it starts to open up something completely different because then the family system is what really needs to be worked on and addressed and discussed and talked about. Because, there's a part that Mila Kunis says, hey, don't you think if I could stop, I would just stop? Or don't you think if I knew that by continued use, I'll get my kids taken away from me? I mean, the struggle's real there. but the same struggle is happening with the family. You know, the mom knows better. She's probably been exposed in 15 detoxes and residentials. She's probably been exposed to a lot of family therapy. Yet despite of all of that knowledge, family education, family support, when her emotions get triggered, when it's her own kid, when it's codependency kicks in, when guilt, she sounds like she has a lot of guilt. She told her that, you know, I should have been there for you. I should have been around. That's just a statement full of guilt. You know, it's like unprocessed guilt, because that means that communication that happened, should have happened years ago, never happened. And now it's happening in the midst of, you know, addiction. So there's a lot of work there to be done with the mom. And you know, some people watch that. And she has a loving mom, super supportive, super caring. She says a lot of encouraging words to her daughter and this and that. So, you know, from the outside, if you don't know about family dynamics and addiction impacting the whole family, you would just see that the problem's happening just at the level of the daughter, the Mila Kunis. But when you step back and zoom out and look at it conceptually from, you know, from case management and therapeutic modalities and family systems, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, she's only a little piece of the puzzle. You know, there's a bigger piece here that needs to be addressed.
You know what? It reminds me. Let me come back. I got Alex here waiting, and I'm going to bring him on. But I want to comment after Alex on the mother's role. Reminds me of the people that have to interact with cluster B personalities in their lives, and they choose to move forward. It really does. They almost shut their eyes to rationality and reason and move forward, and it ends up creating that situation where they don't know what else to do. And I'll come back to this. It's interesting. Let's get Alex on here. Hi, Alex.
Hi
Hello.
there. Hi, hello there. I'm calling you from Serbia. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, Alex
Hello.
from Serbia. Cool.
Hi.
Yes, super. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I'm with you this night. I've been watching you months, for months, I can say. This is an interesting topic. I've seen a trailer of the movie, and I can say it's really well filmed. Um, yeah, when it comes to my life, I'm 45 years old, and my mother died when I was 20. My brother was 15, and like 1 or 2 years after that, we both went in a wrong direction with trying drugs and then being on drugs. And I was using drugs until I was 36, and that was like 15 years in a row without going to hospital, because I didn't have any support uh, from my family. Father didn't want to have any contact with us. My brother ended up in prison and stuff like that. So when I was 36, I decided to live another life that was not really me. And then for 9 years, I was clean. And then last year, a lot of stress in family. I have relapsed with buprenorphine.
Let me ask you, what do you mean I relapse with buprenorphine? You're using it. Can you explain a little more? And also tell me, initially, I think we're about the same age maybe, but was a lot of the issues that you were dealing with during the war in the 90s?
Yes, of course, yeah. The war in the 90s, then NATO bombing 1990, and it never ended. This story going on in Serbia. It's all one dictator after another, and people are living really bad. Like I'm 45, unemployed, educated, and I have to travel abroad every 3 months, going to Germany and taking care of older people and stuff like that. And there was a lot of stress, and I got together with my brother, and it was like, you can try something of this. I refused a couple of times, and then I said, well, let me try. It was a relapse. I didn't use anything else in between except Zoloft. That was my medication for this almost 10 years.
But
Antidepressant.
but so you're considering being on buprenorphine or relapse?
Yeah.
Oh, so just so
I
you know, oh, go ahead, please.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm using it illegal. I buy it from dealers here on the street, and it. I don't know how I get into this circle, and I'm living with my partner for 8 years now. And when we talk about a lot of times, how should I get off my medications? And he means it's probably connected with antidepressants.
Yeah.
My problem is how to tell him, because I cannot take that burden on me. I use like 2 milligrams. I was on a higher dosage, but I would like to share that with my partner. We are really close. And the problem is that he had a younger brother here in Serbia, and it's all political thing that in one point in 90s, a lot of drugs were put on the street in, I don't know, you know that probably better,
Yeah.
political matter, criminal and stuff like that. And unfortunately his brother overdosed, and he was not even using it long. I don't know, he was just in it, and it happened really fast. And I'm really afraid of his reaction. Would like to share that with him, because don't see myself in this story. How I slept, it happened.
Uh,
Well,
there's so much here you're telling us, and I want Parham's feedback. I apologize, Parham. I jumped right in
mhm,
because,
Go for it, Doc. Go for it.
as a side note, if you ever get a chance, read a book by Chris Hedges. And the book, he's a
mhm,
Pulitzer Prize New York, ex New York Times writer. It's called, one of his books is called War, the Force That Gives Us Meaning. And it's a very interesting portrayal and paradigm of how he looked at the war in Serbia. That's a side issue. Now, let me go back to
mhm,
and that war is
mhm.
absolutely traumatic. I mean, that was nasty, ugly, and it has left
Absolutely.
so many. I don't think people realize that. Forget the family issues. You
Mhm,
went
mhm,
through hell on earth, and I know it
mhm,
just because it's something that I studied long time ago on my own,
mhm,
because
mhm,
it just fascinated me. So I'm going to leave all that aside. I'm going to just we don't have that kind of time, but I want to talk about the buprenorphine.
mhm, mhm.
Is buprenorphine shunned in where you live right now? Is it not acceptable? And is there not doctors that prescribe it? Because in the few minutes that we have, let me just say, I absolutely don't consider you as someone who relapsed. I consider you someone who was going under a tremendous amount of stress, and given the tools that you had in your immediate surroundings, you chose a wonderful, great option to stay clean. It's a medication. If you see the channel, go to my videos. My concern here is A,
Mhm.
how you're getting it, B, are you on the correct dose, and C,
Mhm.
dealing with your partner and having a meaningful, open conversation. And I'm sure Parham has much, much more to add to that. So,
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, I think all of us here, you didn't relapse. You did the right thing, and you probably should have been on this a long time ago. That's what I have to say about that. Can you give us a little feedback? I'm going to let Parham take over because your case is so interesting. I could spend days talking to you, but go ahead, give us
Thank
feedback.
you so
I'm
much.
going to let Parham take over.
I'm so glad because yeah, everyday life here is so stressful. For example, what has with COVID to do, in a moment there is such a big amount of vaccines. I think that we're on a third place after US and Israel, that has so many people vaccinated. uh, don't know what to think about it, but buprenorphine, maybe I'm not pronouncing the right way we call it here, bup or
Yeah, that's fine.
buprenorphine.
Buprenorphine. Yeah. Are you able to get a prescription from a doctor?
Well, no, because they will probably send me to a hospital to check my condition, and the doctor here is not allowed to write it. I live in a small town, copper mine town,
Uh,
in east of Serbia
can
border.
can you get it in Germany where you work?
Mm,
Do you have any?
it's more difficult there because I work on black, so to say, because I travel 3 months and stay there as long as my touristic visa lasts, and then I must come back here.
Wow. So I'm going to even add to that. You are managing under extremely difficult conditions. And in fact, get it out of your mind. As far as we're concerned, you didn't relapse. You are getting, this is no different than the HIV medication and malaria medication black market in sub-Saharan Africa because, well,
Mhm.
there's a lot of that they couldn't get it and they're getting it. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's what you're doing. So I commend you. And I'm going to let Parham take over. I'm sure he's got a lot of
Mhm.
insight into this. Parham, give us some feedback. Wow, this is great. I wish we could bring her over and chat with her and help her out. Man, sucks. But go ahead.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
would be so much.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for sharing that. Such a rich and you've overcame a lot, man, in your history. I really want you to know that. And just so you know, I'm Iranian, so I'm from Iran. I was born in Iran. I was born during and after a war, the Iran and Iraq war. So I'm familiar intimately with what it's like to hear, bomb sirens, have families go down to bunkers, all that kind of stuff, and the anxiety that comes with that. So I have a lot of empathy for that. I understand it.
Yes.
On a personal level too. So, some of the things that I noticed that you were speaking about, one, you brought up the grief and loss of losing your mother at a fairly young age, at 20, anything under 25, I consider pretty young for that.
Yes.
So the impact that had, and then, going on, using substances and then getting addicted to substances, and then, for an extended period of time, so that means to me, that's telling me that you might have not ever addressed, dealt with, managed that, in a timely manner when it occurred, because drugs allow us to suppress our emotions. And then for whatever reason, your life led you to a point that you said, hey, I can't live like this anymore. I need to get off this stuff. And you were able to get off this stuff for, I think you said 9 years.
9 years. Yes,
9 years. So you're able to get off it. And I want you to know that this last year, not just you, Alex, there is millions of human beings that when COVID happened, when the way of life changed, the amount of stress that human beings collectively all across the world experience was more than they were able to manage oftentimes, right? So you happen to go back to something that you knew at a time in your life when you were stressed out was able to help you just kind of manage your anxiety. Now, the reason why you're having so much guilt and so much, even shame with it is because in your country, unfortunately, the means to get this, medication that you were seeking out happens to be black market, illegal, the people you're getting it from, the scenes, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stigma that goes with that. And my heart goes out to you because I wish it wasn't that way for you. I really wish you didn't have to go seek it the way you used to seek out drugs. And that's why I think that the line's getting blurred. But as a family therapist, the part that I can talk about here is that the last component with your partner, it sounds like you guys are committed. It sounds like you live together, you tell the truth about everything. And this one thing that you're holding on to is really, really eating at you. So I don't know what family therapy or family communication in your country looks like. I apologize if I'm a little ignorant about that. But if there are avenues to be able to go and with a third party, objective professional to be able to say, hey, there's something that I want to talk about. This relationship means a lot to us. And to be able to do that with the professionals too. And that's not like right the first time you go there and you just say, hey, here's a secret I've been holding on to. But it allows you guys to have the space. It allows you guys to have the platform to have some healthy communication about something that's important, because the overdose history of your partner's brother is something that you're putting into consideration. And that's something that I hope that your partner actually addresses and heals from too, because that is a traumatic experience. But sitting on something and hiding secrets, and over here we say that you're sick as your secret. So I hope that like Dr. B said, to find whether it's telemedicine, find a physician that's able to help prescribe that. And also, by the way, find ways to manage your stress in a healthy, natural way. So I'm not saying nothing against the medication of choice or anything like that, but the more stressed out people get, the more they act out in addictive behaviors. So the more stressed out you get is, can you and do you have skills, coping skills, tools to be able to self-regulate your emotions on your own, to take you from a 10 down to a 7. So maybe you might not need something. Maybe you're able to kind of just regulate a little bit better, the way you did for a lot of years, by the way. You know, you were able to demonstrate you were able to. So that's your path. That's what you got to get to, is to find that that internal work to be able to manage your stress more. And honestly, join the club. It happened to so many people. I want to normalize what you experienced last year. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of people reverted back to unhealthy previous versions of life, previous behaviors, you know, whatever that was. Yeah, because we weren't able to handle what happened. So as we get a little bit more time, distance, space from, you know, the COVID-19 in 2020, hopefully we all start to regulate back to. I mean, travel. If you travel for 3 months, every 3 months with a tourist visa, and all of a sudden your only source of income looks like there's no more travel abroad Europe. I mean, I can't even imagine how much anxiety and stress you went through.
And then when I think about my next travel, it's supposed to be in uni, because I'm invited for some exhibition. I was reading today. The embassy says no, it's not possible, because Germany will close the borders and stuff like that. And then the first thing appears is, oh, what am I going to do without that? Then, well, I have enough time. There is still 3 months to deal with it, because I was using, like, I didn't even know until I realized what I'm dealing with, what kind of medication, like buprenorphine, that there is not like heroin, and I was taking it like snorting, and lowering the dosage, because I was following all of your shows and a lot of clips I've seen from Dr. B, and I saw that functions very well. Like, I'm now on 2 or 2.5. Yeah, and I was thinking, just as you said, Parham, that maybe I should try to find my doctor, my psychiatrist that was leading me 10 years ago, and talk to him. And he's able to prescribe that. He is in Belgrade. I can find him, and that maybe will be the best solution, not to have to buy this, and tell him that this is only temporarily, and that I want to get off of this, because
you find a doctor, take the stress of buying it illicitly down, get on the right dose. I personally don't care of any urgency to get off of it. And on the second part, please find a way to what Parham was saying, as far as you seem to have really solid foundations with your partner. Work off of that and communicate this. You know, she brought up an important issue with COVID, and I was having a great conversation with Mahan, one of the med students at the UC Irvine, and he's brilliant, and it's great. He gets me going, and he started talking about with this COVID thing. You know, we were talking about some articles in New England Journal of Medicine recently, and he was thinking one thing, I was thinking another, and he brought up the point that they're out there doing a genetic evaluation of why African Americans are more likely to get COVID, get sick, and die. Okay, and is there? And here's the thing. Well, the answer is right in front of you. Okay, they live a stressful life. There's more poverty. There's more kind of marginalization in every aspect of society. Their immune system is revved up. Their cortisol levels higher than everyone else. And so that weakens the immune system and makes you more susceptible. There's your answer. Create a society where people lead a healthier life. And you just reminded me of that, which must really exacerbate all of this. But that's what I think you should do. And as far as I'm concerned, talk to your doctor. But I wouldn't be in no rush to get you off. She's so interesting, Parham. I want to keep her on forever and start exploring.
Also what's interesting, because I was talking with my partner for what was going on in past 10 years, since we were together 8 years. but he have seen all my issues when I was on Zoloft. I was using Zoloft as a regular therapy, and there was a lot of anger that exploded somehow because we live in a house where his father is, I can say, mental ill. That has also something to do with his childhood and all that happened to Yugoslavia, Serbia, poverty. But we live a solid life. We have a big house, everything normal. And he said, my partner said to me, you know, but I've been watching you lately, and you seem to me in the last couple of months very stable, more stable now than I was. He doesn't know, but it was funny that he said you that I behave and act in many of the situations more
Calm.
stable. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's you
Before
know,
only on Zoloft.
yeah, and I won't get into all the things Suboxone hits, but someone brought up a good point. You're not snorting this stuff anymore, are you? I hope you're taking it under your tongue or whatever, however, because you don't want to be snorting it. That leads that has a lot of issues. Are you taking it correctly?
No, unfortunately, as I said, I was snorting it. Yeah,
Well,
and still, yeah.
okay.
I,
Is it I presume it's a pill.
no, it's a tablet. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like,
tablet. Okay, okay. Can you stop doing that?
yes, I think I can.
All right, do me a
I
favor.
didn't try. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stop snorting it. Okay, it's
Okay,
a
okay.
it's a very risky behavioral repetitive mechanism that could lead down bad things. And take it correctly, and don't try to get that rapid rush as it crosses the blood-brain barrier faster by snorting it. Take it like a
Mm-hmm.
patient taking a
Okay,
medication. Please do that for me, and then reach out to us and let me know how that's going. I really want you to work on that.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm so thankful because I've been watching you and listening for months and months, and this like a miracle to me because I wanted to speak with a doctor that I can trust, you know. And then thank you so much. I'm really grateful that this happened,
Oh,
that I had a chance to talk with you.
well, thank you for sharing with us. Just do that one thing for me. It's about the best I can do over this stupid
Yes, I
thing,
will.
and let us know. Okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I
Okay,
will. Then
Alex.
thank you so much.
Right.
I wish you all the best. I will follow all your shows, and we'll talk very soon. I will be there.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Charles. Cheers.
Wow, what a Parham, what a great case. I almost want to drop everything today and drag her here and sit her down and go through everything. And then the realization hits in the world of, I mean, we spent a few hundred gazillion a year on building a bomb. I'm sure we have enough resources to help her and millions of other. I know that the data shows it at a fraction of the cost. And then all of a sudden it hits me. Oh, you can't help her. You can't get her to sit down with Parham. You can't get her to. You can't manage her medication. It's just it just killed me. It's one of the few things that bothers me nowadays. But it was a great.
You know what I like about this? Oh, by the way, you still have her screen up if you want to close that. I don't know if you have access to closing the.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, you know, for me, what stands out is we have so many people watching this from all over the world. And last week we had a caller from Sweden. We got one from Bosnia. And when you hear Alex's story, you know, there's so many people watching this from America that might not know anything about Serbia or might not know anything about the old Yugoslavia or the wars and the endless wars and the just what those human beings have experienced. And it's, you know, we always talk about all the things to be grateful for living here and some of the freedoms and liberties that we have and this and that. I hope a few people go Google some history of Serbia after this, just to see simultaneously while we're having the same world that we're having right now, having this talk, living here, there's people going through what Alex and her entire country have gone through for many, many years. And hopefully this talk, even though we're not here talking about, you know, world history and politics and industrial mega freaking complexes of military stuff, but just maybe some people can get broadened education that transcends above the world of addiction. That'd be really cool.
I love that. And that, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the whole goal for me for all of this is not to only empower people by answering their questions, but to learn them, teach them, educate them, and teach them how to approach things in a formal way as far as thought process goes, and expose them to the world. And you hit that right on the head. Yeah, it's just it's really interesting. Let me look at some of these. You see any interesting something just came to mind which I want to answer. Somebody on TikTok, again, I have such a hard time answering all the questions. Somebody on TikTok wrote something about Suboxone. They said something to the effect that you have to spit this out after you take it for it to work. I don't know. I think that was the question that it's going around, and no, you don't want to spit it out. But anyway, sorry. I was trying to answer something that came to mind. Let's look at see if there's anything on here. You see anything?
Just one there was stress makes people relapse so easily. You know, I have to agree with that. And again, it's not just relapsing with drugs and alcohol. Relapses come in many different ways. You know, there's behavioral relapses. There's relapses with spending. There's relapses with shopping. There's relapses in relationships, you know, all that kind of stuff like that. So absolutely, stress is it's a big deal when it comes to addiction and recovery. This caring farm is really cool. She reached out after our last live to me, and she's in it for the right reasons, and she's really doing some good work.
Yeah, she's pretty badass. And in fact, again, I got like 400 messages on what's that thing called, Austin, LinkedIn. And they keep showing up on somewhere. And I saw her picture on there. So, Caring Farm, I'm sorry, I'm horrible. But this is a great place. We'd love to meet you because I keep reading comments you put different places. And if you pop up on here, I think that would be cool. We'd love to see you and hear from you. But let's see, what else do we have?
I have a question about the accuracy of that statement in the trailer real quick. When Mila Kunis and her mother are in the physician's office, and she seems like she's withdrawing off of opiates, and the doctor seems to be introducing an opioid antagonist and this and that, and he says, hey, we can't start your treatment until 4 more days from now. Just that premise of the name of the movie and that statement, how accurate is that from your perspective?
Not very accurate. In fact, yeah, let's go into some of those issues now. And some of the concerns I had. And this is, okay, this is what I was putting off because your issues are so interesting. One of the fears and concerns I have, again, we are a triggered society that responds to a lot of BS. And one of my concerns is people see that and they're not familiar with all the issues and the controversy and debates. And they're like, oh, is this what I got to do? Great. This is the treatment. So it sort of highlights Vivitrol, naltrexone, whatever, however you want to take it, as the treatment that should be done. That's wrong. The 4-day issue, it's wrong in so many ways. And that basically you have to be, the issue is precipitated withdrawals. That's what he's referring to. But how can I say this? I can open so many cans of worms, and the data that they did in Lancet in 2011 that said here now the Vivitrol is just as good as other medication. What they're doing is taking someone who's and as you know, I'm a big proponent of medication-assisted treatment, whether it's methadone or buprenorphine products, and what they're doing is taking someone right off of being clean and putting him on Vivitrol. Okay. Now, whether it's 4 days, 7 days, 10 days, if you're on methadone, who knows, whatever. I do not believe that's the way to go. I don't see success with it, except for a very few select group of patients that have to have a lot of fortitude and a higher cognitive tools. And I think in general, if you recall down here in Orange County, they created a lot of guys went to prison for this, and a lot of guys got indicted for this. Was people were going into detox, and after Vivitrol, the implant became a big deal down here, right? And so what they were doing, because I do some implants with the Coleman Institute, which is very legitimate, and it's a whole different scenario. But basically, the implant is an incision, and you put it subcutaneously in the belly, and they go off. It's the same thing as Vivitrol. What was, as you know, what was happening in Orange County was you go into a detox, and basically the headhunters had it all set up with a doctor, and everybody that goes into that detox gets shuffled into the doctor's office as soon as they are 4 days, 5 days clean, and they get this implant. And I think the way they were billing is they were billing as a surgical procedure for the need for it to be sterile. I do this in about 3 minutes in the exam room with a local sterile field, right? And so they were charging $28,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And so here was a situation where every kid was getting this, and I was seeing kids, and I predicted it before it happened when I saw this new nightmare. Kids were cutting it out. They were increasing their meth use, for example, or their benzo use, right? This was not the time to get this medication, nor do I think of it as maintenance medication. And the other thing is that and now finally Vivitrol, the company, has this on the website and on the package. What it does is increases chances of overdose and death because withdrawals and cravings go far beyond the first few days. And these people are on this medication, white knuckling it, right? And meanwhile, their threshold of the amount of opiates they were taking before goes down, and they will do many weird things. They will start taking massive amounts of opiates over this, or they get it out and they do the same dose. So it is a medication with some utility. And although the powers that be and the way we look at things and the society and a lot of marketing and advertising has pushed it so this is one of the stock and trade medications. No. Let me...
Yeah, take your time, man. You're doing great.
This medication has value in certain circumstances. Number one, if you are one of those folks out there that immediately stopped, waited your 5, 6, 7 days, got on this medication, and it's 7 years later and you're doing great, good. I think that's wonderful. In science, in clinical science, we call that anecdotal evidence. It is evidence, but it's of the lowest form. It doesn't mean you're lying. It doesn't do anything for me that has to make decisions that affect a large number of people that I can base my decision on probability of outcome. So when you get on to my TikTok or my YouTube, and all kinds of people criticize for anything from kratom to Suboxone being this, these are anecdotal evidence. They're real, but they're worthless for a person to make a professional judgment to increase probability of success and outcomes. So that's number one. So if you're one of those folks, that's awesome. More power to you. In general, this medication, how I would use it in general, there's a few things that it's positive for and good for. Number one, if you're in the sort of sensitive industry in terms of safety, okay? If you're running a power nuclear reactor, if you're a pilot, if you're a train conductor, and your employer knows that you had a substance abuse issue, And at some point, once the recovery has occurred, they need an additional safety valve to put you back on the job. This is great for that. Okay. I also use it on certain patients that are coming off Suboxone, or and they're like, doc, this is the first time I'm not going with anything. I'm like, you want to get on this for a couple of months, where it's kind of holds your hand. So for those folks, it's also good. Then there's a select few, and usually, it's not going to be some kid who's 25 who comes off the street who's been slamming heroin since he's 14, because there needs to be so much cognitive recovery. But some guys are older, more sophisticated, more educated, and it's time to quit the pills. They want this, and it kind of works for those folks. And I feel that, and I'm not going to go into some of the papers. I think the papers are nonsense about, I could go over one, the way it's laid out. And these are major papers, like in New England Journal of Medicine. It's just a scam about this being just as good as medication-assisted treatment. So I really wanted to get that out there, and I worry that this movie is going to send the wrong message.
Yeah, doctor, that was really well said. For me, the part about it is you get an individual that's intravenous IV using heroin in this case. I'm assuming probably some other drugs too, but she's using substances. And a lot of the reasons why she's using, one of it is a physical dependence. We all know that, those drugs are physically addicting, but also there's a whole psychological issue of why human beings use drugs and alcohol. So drugs and alcohol at their purest forms, they're all painkillers. And as we know, the brain cannot distinguish between real or perceived pain. So when someone feels abandoned, someone feels hurt, someone feels violated, someone's experienced trauma, someone's had grief and loss, and they're using substances like an opiate to deal with that. And for an extended period of time, like you said, the one that starts at age 14, and all of a sudden they get off of their drugs. And now they get on a Vivitrol, an opioid antagonist. Now all of the rush of emotions, what do you think happens to all that stuff?
It's a nightmare.
Everything they've experienced all of a sudden just starts to come up. And I'm talking about it's been suppressed for years and sometimes even decades, by the way. And all of a sudden it starts coming up. And without any type of treatment. So I don't know if there's a treatment component to this story that we watch, or she's just going to get on the Vivitrol shot and just call it a day. But if without any type of treatment, without any type of talk therapy, without any type of EMDR for trauma later on, without any type of CBT, DBT, whatever you want to call it, some modality, a therapeutic modality, some interventions that helps you kind of gain insight and awareness and to uncover everything that's been suppressed and to process it and to heal from it and recover from it. Without all that, what happens is, you nailed it on the head, is individuals, they come in with an opiate problem, they get their Vivitrol shot or their, the little surgery ones that the Dr. Rosen guy was doing on people. They get those, and then all of a sudden they're not using opiates because they know they can't get high, or they're going to use so much that they're going to overdose, like you said. They start just substituting to something else that can make them not feel. I mean, how many people can come in with opiate addictions and all of a sudden they're using straight stimulants, cocaine, methamphetamines, that whole world of stuff, because they know they can't get high on their drug of choice at this point. So they go to anything else. And alcohol doesn't even have the same feeling on that. So they go to anything else in order to not feel. And then all that happens is these Vivitrol shots have a shelf life, about like 21 days or 20, whatever. You probably know better than I do, that the efficacy of it starts to drop. And they kind of time that. I mean, I've noticed it in our treatment facility, in our world, that they've learned how to time that as they get close to that last dose, last a few days of their Vivitrol shot, the effectiveness of it, they actually know when to use, when they want to use to actually get loaded, and especially the ones that have been through the cycle a lot. So Vivitrol could, like you said, I mean, that's a wonderful way to put it, that individuals that maybe they've been on buprenorphine for a while and they want to kind of get off that stuff at some point in their life. It's a choice between them and their provider. And maybe Vivitrol at that point is a wonderful solution for them, to be able to kind of have that bridge to go from using something daily to having some type of a safety net or psychological even feeling that your cravings aren't going to rebound, if you will. There's people I know with naltrexone daily pills with alcohol, some of the more mature people that are working. I've seen that kind of work with them, and I'm not a doctor there, but I've seen it in the therapeutic world. People take those. Those are kind of strong on your liver. But outside of that, I just want people, out of this whole thing, the parts of the trailer that I freaking loved was the parts about the realness, the rawness, the authenticity of the mother-daughter family system, family dynamics relationship. But the other part of it to shy away from is thinking that this one shot is a miracle drug for opioid addiction. You know, it absolutely isn't, because the right treatment, which is case by case and individualized, as we talk here every single week, with under the care of a licensed physician that knows what the heck he or she is doing when it comes to opioids, and also the therapeutic component, which people like me strongly endorse and encourage, because you can't do one without the other. You know, you can't just intervene at the level of the brain without talking about the emotions or the physical body or anything like that. Mind, body, spirit, man, it's all connected. We can't separate those two things. So it was good, and just like everything else, you know, it wasn't good or bad. It was good and bad, right? And we were just talking about it earlier. So it was, yeah, that's what I have on my take right there, though.
By the way, I'm a big fan of this medication for alcohol. I just don't think it's what it is for for opiates as it's sold. Let's get Nicole on. Hey guys, on TikTok, I see a lot of people on there. Come on, YouTube channel, Dr. B Addiction Recovery. I'm having a hard time. I probably won't answer a lot of the questions on TikTok. Come on there. We have Parham. He's a super badass therapist and addictions counselor, and myself. And there's quite a few people on here, but we're happy to answer any and all questions. It doesn't have to be about this. We just had a cool caller from Serbia kind of discussing some other stuff. Let's get Nicole on here. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things. So, no, Dr. B is not sponsored by Suboxone, Anthony. Secondly, what I wanted to say was, when I watched the trailer of that movie, you guys, my mom and my dad are the most amazing people that ever walked the face of the earth. When I was in active addiction, they tried to help me for the first couple, maybe 3 years they gave me to try and really get my shit together. And then they were like, we have to separate ourselves from you. You have to get out of the house. You can't live here. And I was on my own, you know, and bouncing in and out of treatment centers, prison, all kinds of stuff. But I hate coming on here because I cry every time. But just when I think about all the pain I put my family through, and how my mom, she would pray over me at night. I would go to their house and I would be so skinny and I hadn't eaten days. And I would be there for like a holiday like Christmas or Thanksgiving. And I would be trying to hold it together because I don't want to go over to my parents' house high, you know. And I would be so sick, I would be in withdrawal, and I would lay down and my mom would just brush my hair and pray over me and talk to me and tell me how beautiful I was and that I'm worth more than these drugs are and all this stuff. And I could just remember laying there and I thinking in my mind, I wish I felt the way you do about me, because I didn't feel that way. I didn't think that I was better than drugs. I didn't think that I deserved to have a better life. I had become so used to the lifestyle that I was living that I was just, it was just almost impossible to get out of it. It was so hard. The only thing that helped me get out of being the way I was having my son, and the love for my child is what helped me to get away from my addiction, because I was just in my addiction so bad that there was nothing that my love for myself wasn't going to do it, because I did not love me. I did not care about myself at all. And so watching that movie was just like, it was like watching my whole life, you know. And I when I saw at the beginning when they were talking about Vivitrol, I thought, man, why are they not talking about Suboxone? But of course they're not talking about Suboxone because people think medication-assisted treatment is so controversial. But I'll tell you, in my personal experience with people that have gotten on Vivitrol that are my friends, have gotten on Vivitrol, they stay on it for the first 27 to 30 days, and then they don't return for their second shot. And they use and on top of it. And I've seen many people get on Vivitrol, stop taking it, and then relapse. And I think Vivitrol is for someone like me, who has been on medication-assisted treatment for 5.5 years, is on a stable dose, has been tapering down for the last 2 years. And when I get down and I jump, then get on something like Vivitrol to help me the rest of the way, as like a second form of insurance on my sobriety. But I don't think like an IV drug addict who's coming off the street, who's been homeless, is going to have any kind of success with Vivitrol unless they're in a long-term treatment program for over a year and they're being monitored and they are in therapy and they're basically locked there. Because the moment you have like a craving or you don't have support and you leave your house, I've seen people like cut the stuff out of them and try to squeeze the stuff out. I've seen people go and use other drugs. I've seen people take copious amounts of heroin and fentanyl on top of the Vivitrol shot. So anyway, yeah, I wish it had been Suboxone or something that they were taking her to get on at the beginning, you know, but it was still a good trailer. Like, it really punched me it made me so emotional, man, because now I'm just living my life trying to do better, but I will never, ever, ever live down the pain that I caused my family, ever. I will never, ever live it down. And I will always be trying to make sure my parents know how much I love them and how I'm so grateful that they didn't give up on me. And now I know, like, they're so proud of me now. But man, it's hard just thinking about my poor mom and how I hurt her, you know? So that's all.
Well, Nicole, thank you. Go ahead, Parham.
No, that was all. I mean, you come here and you share so passionately and authentically every week. I just appreciate it. I was just listening to your journey and you know, the beauty about the whole recovery process is yeah, we do impact a lot of people through our active addiction, and there's a lot of sleepless nights and people that don't deserve what we give them. You know, they get it sometimes, and sometimes there's family members that actually, you know, harm the individual. But all that being said, is each day that you wake up, you know, you commit to living a life of helping other human beings out, of showing up for your family, of showing up for others. I always call it like a tally, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how many hour days you're out in active addiction, just write down tallies, right? However many days you're kind of making it right and living, just write down tallies. Eventually the scale is going to get, let me put my hands here. Eventually the scale is going to start to get even. And then you start to do more and contribute more and create your own legacy and help out other human beings. And eventually you're actually going to have more on the plus side than the negative side. And then when you look at yourself in the mirror, yeah, the feelings of like, hey, what did I do is always going to be there a little bit. But you're going to start liking, you know, the reflection a heck of a lot more than when we first get in here. And family members sometimes are the quickest ones to forgive and forget, if you will. You know, they become our number one advocate. So keep on the same path you're on. You know, it's healing those nights for your mom praying over you. Each night that she doesn't have to do that. It's healing those nights.
You know, Nicole brings out and thanks for sharing, Nicole. She brings out this thing. A lot of those behaviors, I think, are not just while you're in severe substance abuse and really deep into it. It's a lot of us just didn't gain healthy tools growing up, whatever the reason was. And again, this is not to blame anyone or take accountability away from us. At the end of the day, we're responsible and accountable for everything. But I think it's so important that as you get on this road, you have to constantly check yourself and check your behavior and your actions. And Parham, tell me what you think of this. And, you know, Nicole actually shared something with me recently, but one of the thoughts I had is one has to constantly look for healthy people and meaningful relationships, because I think that's one of the key elements of growing up. Okay. What do you think of that, Parham?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't think our environment never stops evolving. You know, I believe the people that we surround ourselves with, they impact us, they shape us, they help us, you know, go from who we are to who we're gonna be. So the continuous search to find that proper environment that helps us thrive and to helps us kind of evolve is something that we all need to do at all times, you know, recovery or not. I think that's a personal responsibility that we have to our own healing environment. You know, I'm really big on the environment.
Absolutely. Look, I see a boatload of cool questions.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and you know, if you guys come on, it's easier because I'm an idiot at this thing. One other thing, at some point, Anthony, I know you were joking, but I'm glad you brought that question up because I get that question hard as if I'm some sort of mobster criminal about working for Suboxone or a sponsor of the pharmaceutical industry. And I get that in serious ways, but you brought it up. If we have time today, I want to address that once and for all for those people that are coming at me. But let's start. Can we start with Lacey? Guys, please come on. It's funner that way, and I don't have to keep track of this crap. Lacey asked, can you talk about the effects of long-term meth use and any potential treatment option? Does naloxone work for meth? Let me answer this. Parham, is there anything you want to add right now?
No, you can go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So let me start backwards. Does naloxone work for meth? No. Does Suboxone work for meth? At 16 milligrams or higher, there appears to be some mathematically significant change in outcomes, statistically significant. These are old studies, and there's reasons for that, but I'm not going to hang my hat on that, but that's my position. Finally, long-term effects, again, depends how long you've been using the crap you're using on the street and how you're using it. But, I do have a video somewhere in early 2010, 11, 12. They were actually looking at long-term effects of methamphetamine use, and they compared it to traumatic brain injury outcomes, right? And they were looking at it at the cell. Wow, I can go on about this so many levels. Look, it's shitty. Okay, you're going to have neuropsychiatric effects, cognitive effects, mood effects, emotional effects, movement effects, reaction time effects, memory effects. But also, what's interesting to me is one of the things they discovered as throughout, if you go through these papers, is psychosis is one of the big ones, right? Okay, it's rhabdomyolysis breaking up, so there's so much. But one of the things I found interesting, Parham, to decrease, for example, I think 40 to 70% of long-term chronic methamphetamine users at some point in their life will have episodes of psychosis. The key to long-term methamphetamine treatment and staying as healthy as possible is mental health intervention. And in fact, mental health intervention decreases the episodes of psychosis and getting that really bad. I think this applies to every part of methamphetamine use and abuse in the long run. I utilize it myself for my methamphetamine patients. There is no magic bullet treatment, but I will tell you some things that are cooking right now at the national level with the governments. They're coming up with some, in about 5 years, some of this stuff are going to come out. I think they're basically blockers. And I find this pursuit interesting. They're going to dump millions into this. And you should really understand that, once someone is a severe hardcore addict, getting a blocker is absolutely has its place, utility, and usefulness, but I don't consider that as medication treatment. So I'm being very general when I tell you, yes, there's all kinds of effects using it in the long run. It's a very favorite topic of mine. In fact, I have a paper up on the other screen right now as I'm doing some literature update search to see if there's any new information on this stuff. So, everything from neuropsychiatric, neuropsychological, and then if you're using it in your veins, so, all kinds of crap. But Arash, tell us about Parham, tell us about the behavioral stuff on this.
Yeah, there's some more insight there. It's the individual's been snorting it for a decade now daily. So it's in nasal cavity issues or something like that, 3 to 5 lines a day for 10 years. So, when getting off of methamphetamines, the stimulant nature of it and how it impacts the dopamine receptors and how it impacts anhedonia and finding joy in the things that used to bring us pleasure. The initial stages of getting off meth, man, it's depression just hits you like a it just hits you in the back of the head. And it's really hard. That's what keeps taking users back, is because they can't find any type of energy, movement, joy, pleasure. None of that kind of stuff's coming back. So for me, the first and foremost thing is, first of all, why does the individual want to get clean? You know, what's the why? What's the reasoning behind it? What's the motivating factors? Why now? You know, that kind of stuff is really, really important, because that creates a strong foundation of commitment that could hopefully be utilized throughout the recovery process. The other thing is, recovery from methamphetamines takes time. I mean, doctor just really eloquently put a lot of things there. From my experience, behavioral, I've seen it takes about 18 months for behavior, for like brain elasticity, all that kind of stuff that doctor knows better than I do, to come back, for the individual to start to feel a sense of normalcy, to start to feel that they're actually getting some enjoyment out of the things that should cause enjoyment, like walking or exercising or doing all that kind of stuff. So the uphill battle of getting off meth, going through the motions of what's about to come as it relates to anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff, it's a real battle. And it's I know it sounds simple to say, but how bad do you want to get through this, right? And what resources and support can you put yourself around that will help you push through the times that you don't want to, or feel like you can't go forward, right? The environment becomes very important. So usually people that are using methamphetamines, either they're doing it by themselves or they're using with other meth users. Both of those two things have to get completely cut out of life. It's got to be with support of people that don't live that way, the support of people that understand how to get from where you currently are to where you want to get to in life. People that have gone the way, they know the way, they can show the way. This is really the recovery community becomes really important in this realm. The other thing too about meth use is this isn't, I don't know if this is anecdotal, doc, or if there's any data behind it, you might know better, but a lot of times meth use and ADHD are something that I've seen very, very common, very common with from my end of things. And ADHD that happened then and there, in childhood. Maybe the child started off with like behavioral issues in school or inability to pay attention or focus. So they went down the route of, medications, stimulant medications prescribed by a doctor at that point. But the underlying causes of why the individual had ADHD in the first place, maybe they were brought up in a chaotic environment that they were unable to pay attention to, focus to, they were unable to find peace in. So they were daydreaming, zoning out, doing all the things that people do as a child. And later, and they never resolved that. They never resolved that. So now you remove the methamphetamines from them. They're sitting there. They feel bored. They're unable to connect. They're unable to feel at peace. They're unable to focus. And they keep seeking the same medication that they were using. So that, again, the behavioral stuff, I'm going to get into it. You got to get into the underlying causes of what do you get out of meth? What's the positive? What's the payoff? What do you keep getting out of it? Because whatever you're getting from it, it means what you're deficient in and what you don't have yourself. So then that becomes the treatment plan. Work on the deficiencies of what you get out of the meth use. So it's a long process though. So whoever wants to start that journey, roll up your sleeves and just get it ready to do some work, because it will take some work.
Parham, I'm trying to avoid answering the question in details, and you just brought up stuff. In fact, that's another thing. Just tonight, there might be a couple of videos coming on this. You brought up ADHD. No, and this is oh my God. This is so intimately related to methamphetamine use. Number one, the diagnosis of ADHD. I have so much to say about it, some negative, some positive, our treatment of it, how deeply it's tied into methamphetamine use, impulsive behavior, emotional dysregulation. In fact, some theorists in the ADHD world, and I don't treat ADHD, I'm familiar with it, very much say this is an emotional dysregulation issue, impulsive behavior, right? What's impulsive behavior? The substance abuse. And then finding a substance that makes you feel normal. This is just so much shit wrapped up together, and they are more potentially, the data is controversial about this, and they try to, well, I'll leave it at that. The other area is traumatic brain injury. If you are one who has suffered traumatic brain injury, you're more likely to use methamphetamines. If you are a regular methamphetamine user, it increases your, it's called injury prevention. It's an area out of my old field. You are more likely to have an impulsive act that causes traumatic brain injury. Very interesting. These are all related. And Parham said this crap needs to be all unbundled. But yes.
And there was one more thing, Doc, real quick, and we'll move on from this one. But she did say that he was diagnosed with ADHD a long time ago. He had Adderall or Ritalin, so my hunch was right. That was a few years ago. Now he can't get it from a doctor. So I'm assuming the reason why he can't get it from a doctor now is he can't test clean off the methamphetamines. That's probably what's happening. So again, it goes to the point of getting on the right medication, getting with the right doctor, and then also what's your why of getting off of the meth. So once that why becomes crystal clear, the individual all of a sudden can find the right appropriate ways of treatment through the right appropriate ways of medication. And that's what it comes down to, So if a person doesn't want to get off meth, then it's going to have a hard time working with any physician, any part of the world.
These questions are too good, Parham. I'm trying to do quick answers. And
Go for it.
So no, I don't want to. I mean, we've dissected. I mean, they're so good. I could spend hours and hours discussing each one. But one last piece on this one. The way we've had pretty good success this last couple of years with our meth people and our IOP with Dr. G. And one of the ways we do it, especially the last couple of people, we're having a really difficult time with one guy now. He's great. But it's, once they come in, we really try to give, and we do it ourselves. We do the detox ourselves because I'm there. So, we don't send them the detox. But once they come in, we give a lot of support during the first few days to a couple of weeks. You educate them about sleep dysregulation, mood dysregulation, the anhedonia, or sleeping. All of that is given to them. You make sure they're hydrated. And then I add a touch of supportive medication. Then we explain to them, just like Parham said, we got months to go, buddy. All right. Let's really engage in the mental health stuff. And we work closely, really together. I see him once a week, and the behavioral team, Parham's kind of counterpart, really feeds back to me what's going on. So we keep things. If I need to help with the sleep a little bit, I do that, and that's how we do it. And we've had pretty good success the last couple of years. We got, like I said, we got a guy right now that's a different story, but we keep at it. But these are great. Should we move on, Parham?
Yeah, let's move on. Thank you, Lacey.
Right. Thanks, Lacey. I'm not reading them. Is there anything? Mary took me. There's no question, right? Okay. All right, Janet, I was okay. So how do we want to answer this? Is that for us?
I think so.
Yeah. So the way they get high from it is many ways. And this brings out a point, and I'll be really quick. Number one, what most people underestimate is even Tylenol or ibuprofen, that's over-the-counter stuff, even Benadryl, the antihistamines that you guys all take. These are dangerous medications, and you have to educate yourself to take them properly, but they can be very good. Now you're talking about Suboxone. You can't just hand somebody Suboxone and say, go at it, okay? How do they get high? They may snort it, okay? They may not have been high for many, 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 many days, and somehow they store it. And if you gave me 24 milligrams right now, I'd get high as heck. And sure, you can get high with this medication, just like if you told me this. Hey, if I give you a whole bunch of, if you told me, atenolol is a great medication for your blood pressure or rapid heart rate. And I'm like, okay. Then I turn around and tell you, wait a minute. I took atenolol, it bottomed out my blood pressure, and I became bradycardic and my heart rate dropped to like 30 and I almost died. Okay, that can happen. You need to take it correctly, right? And same thing with Suboxone. Yes, they can get high from it. Anything, Parham, on that?
No, some people talked about it. I think it was Nicole, actually. It's a lot of times when people want to get high off something, what they do is they tend to take medication and not take medications and accumulate them like a little chipmunk for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. And they get a little supply that they know they're going to get high from. So anything, if you take too much Suboxone, obviously you're going to get loaded. So there's no secret there.
Julian's pretty cool. Jillian's pretty cool. I always see her, and I wish I was in Scotland. She's thank you for supporting us, Jill. Bovedal, huh? So let me keep that and look it up. Which is the same as what I give here. Which is, what do I give here?
Subutex, maybe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Julian. I'm gonna look that up. All right. Do you see one?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there is. I saw something about Xanax. Anthony was asking about Xanax. I'd like to think I'm pretty damn good at getting people off of that. And I have a lot to say about that. But there's some videos on the channel, Anthony. What is this? Wow, what a nightmare group of medications. Sorry to hear that, Carly. Yeah, this is why I stopped. When I got into this, I immediately stopped working for anybody. I was like, these people are crazy. What are they doing? I do like baclofen. This is a 2-hour discussion. It can be done. Please find, if you're in California, give me a call. I don't know, Carly, but if find a good doctor that understands this. You are basically on the cocktail of the rehabs that use to keep people in rehab and until they leave, and then they get back on their drugs. Plus, they got all these new problems. Someone asked, Klonopin is a benzo? Yes, it is. Oh, Anthony's an Aussie. Okay, cool. Anthony, come on and say hi. Oh, here's one for us, for you too.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, I'll put in my 2 cents as well.
Sure. So I think panic attacks. It's first of all, what is the origin, or when did they start? Why did they start? Was there a precipitating event? Was there a reason why the individual started experiencing panic attacks? Was it a tragic loss? Was it just generalized anxiety that's progressively got worse over time? Was it related to this past year? So there's a lot of stuff. And then when it comes to treatment, not all medication is the only form of treatment for it either. So medication also works really well in conjunction with other types of therapy, right? The therapeutic modalities of getting to the root and the underlying causes of the anxiety, which that is what it is. It's getting to the bottom of that, finding out what's on the bottom that stirs up and manifests and turns into a full-blown panic attack. Learning the power of breathing, the power of your breath, and ways that we can self-intervene and self-regulate our emotions when we are feeling anxious, when we are, before it gets to a full panic attack. How do we intervene proactively to stop from it getting there? So I'll let doctors talk about the various medications that are typically prescribed or used in scenarios like this for panic attacks. And we'll see if you pop up and say anything else in regards to some of the questions that I asked. And we'll go from there. So Doc, feel free. I do believe they also wrote about SSRI. So I'm assuming that same person. So I'm assuming that one of the routes of treatment that they've been given is an SSRI.
Yeah. I won't here. I'm going to actually tail on yours. And, I'm going to just focus on one thing. Panic attacks that don't seem to be able to be treated without medication. And here's what I have to say. Again, I am open to everything. I don't have a knee-jerk reaction. You can't have this because I just need to medically justify what I'm doing. Here's what I do. Okay, let's say if there's somebody with a history of in fact, I have a young lady right now who's amazing. A young lady. I have a couple of them with a history of benzo addictions. Who are on benzos and Xanax for panic attacks. Now, on the surface of it, I'm an idiot. Somebody once said, "Where'd you get your medical degree?" In a Cracker Jack box. I'd like to think they're an idiot because here's what happens with these folks. What happens is, number one, there's an extensive amount of discussion and accountability on that patient for them to be on this medication. For example, it's weekly. Number two, I do an incredible amount of behavioral intervention on my own as a medical doctor to really, really, really get them to digest what we're doing, where we're at. Number three, I insist and figure out a way that you can get the mental health long-term interventions that you need. Oftentimes, I find that, and it's very taxing to my practices, even though we have a wonderful addition to my practice now. I told her to come say hi today. It's very taxing because we micromanage our patients and try to be there for them. If I'm going to put you on a little bit of Xanax, and we're going to count the number of attacks you've had this month, when you had them, why you had them, how many Xanax we're going through, what's going on, and what can we do in terms of medication. And then to the extent that we're like, look, John, Melissa, you need to be getting real professional people like Parham and Dr. G involved, and together we'll take this road over the next couple of years. I think this is how it should be done. In addition, you have to think about, what if, does this put some liability on me? I don't think so, because everything I do is based on evidence and medical indication. But here's the other, I want you to think about the other side of this. So, is this, if we don't do this, if we don't treat the patient as an individual with tailoring medication treatment, all their medications, and making sure they're plugged in, what's going to happen? They're going to go against a system that is, for the most part, there's great practitioners out there, but this system is set up to be cookie cutter, and bad things are going to happen. So I just simply want to add to Parham's thing that we got to get to the bottom of it. Hopefully you can get a doctor that really micromanages and gives you and lends some professional, emotional, and mental health support, and then you find some good folks to help out. That's what I have to say. Is that cool, Parham?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Very well said.
Okay. Anthony, come on. For some reason, I think you're a funny guy. Come on here, and that you're from down under. Come on here and say something. Okay. Let's go next.
There was one here. Her name is Rita. She said, back. Hopefully I didn't miss. He answered my question. I tried to scroll up to find her question. I did. It's a question that probably needs you answering it, but it's an interesting question.
Rita, do I go up?
No, her question is all the way up somewhere, but I'll tell you what the question was. I could read it for you.
Okay.
It was in regards to pregnancy and getting off of, I believe, Subutex. So, can't find it. There's a lot of activity on this thing.
Was it Subutex or methamphetamines?
No, Subutex, I believe. If she's able to write, what the question was again right now, it'll be easier for us to.
Rita, can you write it again for us?
It was a good question though, because it might help somebody else out.
Yeah, or look for it, Parham.
I'm trying.
Every psychiatrist has said I have ADD, but that's it. I need help. I need help getting off the benzo detox, and rehab will not help. Doctors don't want to taper me. Ice cream. I apologize. I'm not sure where. I see the global issues. The particular question. I see you have ADHD, but you're also on benzos. Do you see something in there that? Oh, it's just a comment maybe by ice cream, huh? Oops, sorry. Here, go ahead.
It might be if it's getting shipped off to detox, and I'm just speculating here, ice cream, but saying they got ADHD, but there's certain medications, I'm assuming, when it comes down to the Ritalin, the Adderall, the Concerta, that kind of stuff, a lot of detoxes and rehabs don't allow those. So maybe there's something on a macro level going wrong with the type of treatment that, the limitations in our current treatment models and what the diagnosis calls for. Potentially, that's what I'm catching.
Okay.
Like not being able to get on the right medication due to limitations of treatment settings.
Parham, you know what? In the future, I gotta give you control of this thing. I'm too stupid to
I found Rita's comment. So it was a 251. It says, so can pregnant women be weaned off of Subutex while pregnant, or is it a must while pregnant?
Or is it what?
Or is it a must while pregnant? So like to stay on it while they're pregnant.
Yeah, there's generally no must in anything. It's always provider judgment. But here's the general idea. Rita, is it Rita you said? Rita?
Yeah.
The general idea, everything you do in medicine, everything should be a risk-benefit analysis, okay? And let's say I get you off of Subutex during your pregnancy. The stress of that, the increase of the hormone levels to your placenta and your baby's environment, and the risk of potential relapse outweighs in terms of risk whatever thing is going on with Subutex. I personally, in my practice, haven't seen too much problems. I have managed many of these through pregnancies, working with the OB person, and they do well. So in general, if you're ready, I guess, but I would suspect in most clinical situations, it's too stressful to be worth it.
Yeah, I got it. Any viewers on to come talk to us? That'd be nice.
Yeah, you guys should just pop on. Come on, it's so much funner.
You could probably remove that question on the box too, so it doesn't look like we're talking about it.
Oh yeah, sorry. All right, okay.
There you go.
Answer what? I don't know. Nicole, you got to put it again. And I don't know what this private chat thing is. Jasmine, did we answer something for Jasmine?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Oh, yes, you can't get high on subs if you don't have any opiate tolerance. Yes. You'll get high. It's not like I'm going to walk around for a couple of days, on heaven, but yes, you can. Okay, where are we? Are SSRIs addictive? Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, this was the individual that also was talking about panic attacks.
Yeah, there is a construct, a clinical construct, and a real issue with some people coming off of these, and they need to be tapered. At first, when patients would tell me a long time ago, and I would be like, "Oh, okay, fine," but it's real. It's in the literature, so I wouldn't say they're addictive necessarily. Anything has an abuse potential. So that's number one, right? Remember, I've said before that headache medication, Tylenol, could be addicting, right? Its abuse potential is a better way to put it. Do SSRIs have an abuse potential? Well, the other day I just found out from Alexis, my PA, with something I didn't know. Wellbutrin, which is not really it's an antidepressant. People are snorting it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm supposed to know everything. I didn't know that. She just informed me that, and I had to look up what's going on. So that's a complex behavior of addiction, right? So Panos, I wouldn't go so far as making a categorical claim SSRIs are addictive. I think a better way to say it is they do have an abuse potential. I don't think it's very high. The literature certainly doesn't bore that out. My clinical experience doesn't bore that out. And they do have, for some people, certain side effects, and you have to be cautious on the withdrawal. Maybe more people than I have experienced, but it's certainly there. And I think that's a better way to describe it than to say SSRIs are addictive. Parham, please, if you have any thoughts on it, go right ahead.
No, but I did know about the Wellbutrin being snorted. You know, they call it prison cocaine, some people. So I've heard of that high abuse potential with that specific prescription.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of questions here. I think you're going to appreciate them all. They're more in your realm, but they're very valuable, and I'll read them to you if you want. The first one, Carly, can you talk about protracted withdrawal from benzos? I know it's rare, but I have that.
Yeah. Where is that?
Carl, it's the last one. I'm at the very bottom of your comment. So there's 3 or 4 questions in a row that are pretty good. So the very most recent ones.
Okay, Carly, where is any my oh, Bay Area. Who's in the Bay Area?
That's Carly, yeah.
Oh, that's mine. Okay, where's the question?
There's two or three above that. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I wonder where you guys got to come on. I'm from the Bay Area too, Carly. No, it's not that rare, Carly. I treat it all the time. It's in the literature. It's a big thing. In fact, I have a category, a subset of patients from all over California that I just treat this issue. A lot of doctors they've gone to have failed. I'm trying to think all over Bay Area, Inland Empire, Central Valley, a couple in Newport right now. It's not rare. And what would you like to know about it? It's micro adjusting the med. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's not rare. It's a nightmare. I don't know why practitioners don't believe it. A lot of people say, "Hey, they tell me I'm lying." No, this is a nightmare. With benzos, you can go through a few stages: the acute withdrawal, and then eventually gets to long term, and then protracted for many people. And then there's a psychological withdrawal, which is safe. But what would you like to know about it? It's real. It's a nightmare, and it needs to be treated. If you want to know more, come on Carly, and I'm happy to help you. In fact, give me a call. I love people from the Bay Area. I feel like I'm home. Hope that helps. I'm trying to be quick.
So that was one for Carly. Then right underneath that,
Valerie?
No, this next question might help someone else. It's the one underneath that. It says, any vitamin or over-the-counter to help work on Suboxone withdrawal. This is week 3, no issues with relapse, but want body to not have chills or yawning on a regular basis. It's kind of
Yeah, Matt, again, I always hesitate to even answering that because I'm always like, hey, is it the right time for Matt to get off of it? You should really have no withdrawals or cravings more than a couple of days when you're actually dosing down correctly. But if you're going to go through wherever you're at and you're comfortable with whatever decisions you and your doctor have made, the only thing I could say is stay very well hydrated. You can't do much about the yawning and the chills, and maybe slow down your taper, however it's set up. But there's not, and as far as vitamins goes, I do not advocate. Sure, take a multivitamin. To the extent that I have any expertise on them, there's no magic cure of vitamins or herbals to deal with this in a safe way. Slow down the taper, stay well hydrated, and that's the best I can do without knowing details, Matt.
Okay, let's go 3 more questions. 1, 2, 3 more questions down. It's a Heather Hatch. And I really wish these people would pop on and talk to us. You know,
if you guys come on,
if you click on the link, your video will pop up right next to us, and you can talk to us directly.
Because I can even answer these a lot better, guys, and Parham can too. Just pop on, man. You'll come right on. Please come on. It's so much fun.
But the reason the one question 3 down, I thought it's important for us to highlight. We've had a lot of individuals talking about meth, the Heather question. And we talked about ADHD medications today, but this one is something I've seen in the treatment realm. The doctor Yeah, they say individuals get put on a drug called modafinil because it doesn't have any type of, it's like a non-narcotic. So any information you have on that could be useful for many other people, not just Heather.
Yeah. So modafinil is a stimulant, guys. Remember, there's about 12, 14, 15 stimulants that are prescribed. These are all still stimulants. Now, what he did is interesting. He put you on modafinil. We have attempted, and psychiatrists have had a difficult time over the years because they keep trying different ways to deal with this. So when you put someone, whether you put them on modafinil, which is seemingly safer than putting them on Adderall, probably is. The idea is, let me deal with the ADHD, or let me deal with whatever craving that it is, or whatever withdrawal that it is, by switching them over to a medication in the same way we use buprenorphine products. That's the general idea. Now, the literature doesn't bore out that this method works in the same way as it does for subs, especially with straight up amphetamines. And modafinil is a little bit different, but it is a stimulant. Having said that, I don't want to discount your physician's and had a relapse, was sober for 3 years. Yeah, I don't want to discount your physician's attempt at utilizing this medication. And the answer is really simple. The minute you're put on this medication, I'd want to know exactly, when was the relapse? How much did you use before you came to me? Was it a day, couple of days, a week, so forth? At that point, whatever it is in your personal clinical history that it decided to use this, and maybe there wasn't any, okay, I would put you on this if I chose to do this. Usually I wouldn't. And I would want to see you in 2, 3, 4 days. I want to know, what are your cravings? What are your withdrawal symptoms like? Depending on how much meth you were using, how's your sleep, how's your mood, and do we need to up the intervention before an episode of use turns into a full-blown relapse? And that's my thoughts on this situation.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I can't really talk about the medication component, Heather, but I could tell you that when you were saying you were sober for 3 years, first off, I always like to say congratulations on that. I know what it takes to go from being an active daily use, active addiction, to achieving and obtaining, a long-term sobriety right there. So good on you for that. It also gives me a lot of hope, saying that you can go down that path again. So it would become, hey, what happened last March doesn't take I'm sorry for assuming, but last March, a lot of things happened to a lot of people in our world in regards to the COVID stress and all of that kind of stuff. So my guess is saying that there are a lot of stress happened in your life, and you went back to using something that you knew helped you with your stress. Very similar to what we talked about on our first caller today. So that would become, hey, your stress management skills, because modafinil isn't the cure for your stress. I'll tell you that. That's 100%. Without knowing too much about medications, I could tell you that. If that's being used for that, then that's not the case. And finding out, hey, what do you got to do to get into the reasons, the underlying causes of your relapse? Why did you relapse? What led to it? How did you respond from there? And then now that you keep trying to get sober, what keeps causing you to relapse and going back to meth? Who are you using with? What's a certain environment? What are the feelings you're associating to it? What are the behaviors associated to it? There's a lot that goes in there. So went into we just need, it would be a lot easier for us to be able to talk to you, but that's what I got. I mean, doctor he eloquently put what needed to be said there regarding the medication, and for me it just comes down to the reasons of the why. What happened before the relapse and all that kind of stuff. So and why do you continue to relapse? That's really important.
And with that medication, I also I thought I included the need for behavioral intervention at times. It's just how quickly we nip it in the bud. So let's get Randy on. I got to get this FedEx guy. It'll take me 3 seconds. I'm going to put Randy on, and you guys, hi, Randy. Give me 3 seconds. Get started with Parham. I got to get my FedEx. It'll take me about 40 seconds, and I apologize. It's go ahead. Yeah.
It's okay, Randy. I'll do a pretty good job being able to summarize everything you tell me right now to the doctor. I'm really good at paraphrasing.
All right. Well, because I saw Nicole say that you're mainly with like the therapy and stuff like that, and you do help with addiction. And I have been. See, it all started with opiates. I was hit by a car when I was young, and then as I started getting older, I started having problems with migraines and whatnot. And then I was put on Percocet 10s, and then like my first doctor's appointment, Percocet 10s and Xanax, like right off the bat. And then that doctor is the one who really got my addiction. Like I'm not gonna, I'm not, but this doctor he was crooked. Everybody went to him. Everybody knew who he was, and it just word of mouth, and everybody was on Percocets or Xanax and whatnot. So I do blame that doctor a lot, because I went in there telling him how I felt, with the confusion and stuff like that, and not being like fully mindful. And he said, "Oh, it's depression. You need to be on Xanax, and that's depression that's causing that effect." And I do have a very crazy life that feeds into all of that. But my mother was also an addict. I just recently lost her to sepsis. But now, like, I'm on methadone for because I had the DCP take my kids for 2 years. They made me get off of the Xanax, which was, thank God, because I was like starting to nod out. It was getting really scary. So, and then I got in the methadone because the doctor, the DCP was calling my doctor, because by this time now, this is like 15 years later, and now I'm on just the Roxy 15s, 120 a month, and Oxy 20s, 60 a month, and then my Xanax. So by this time, my addiction is like, and then when I would run out, I'd buy people's scripts and stuff like that. So then once they did get involved, I think they bum rushed me though, because they didn't offer me help. They just took my kids away. And then, but it made me fight. It made me really, really fight for my kids. And that's what it made me get the help that I needed. But I'm still struggling. And it's like, we were like, me and my kids were put in like a traumatic situation. And it's like all that it just added more trauma to my life. And then it just like, but now I want, like, I'm so aware of like how harmful the benzos are. Like I'm scared about getting Alzheimer's and stuff like that. But I'm trying so hard to get off of the benzos. But I've been to several psychiatrists, and they don't want to help me taper off. They even one doctor, she said, "Oh, I know a doctor. If you had money, I know a doctor who could help you get off of this medication. But maybe you should go to a detox." But I know that I've been on this medication for so long, it's not going to take 30 days. I am committed. I am in therapy, and I'm working through my issues, and I'm very invested in becoming recovered or recovering. But right now it's not that, because it's just like the benzo use is terrible. It's worse than the methadone. It's worse. Like I can function if I don't have my methadone, or if for whatever reason. But the Klonopin or the benzos, I'm in bed. Like I can't. Like I'm going through it right now because my doctor didn't, and I'm going through a GP. I'm not even going through a psychiatrist because they refuse to help me because I'm on methadone. It's just, I'm in New Jersey. It's terrible here.
I got it, Randy. Let me just summarize just the really beginning of it, Doctor. The only part you missed, and first of all, Randy, thank you for sharing all that. I really mean that. It takes a lot of courage. You know, you see a lot of people on the side chat writing. Some of them don't know how to log on, but a lot of them don't have the courage and the bravery to get on and speak the way you just spoke. So good on you for doing that. Thank you for that. And you shared a lot of intimate details about some difficult times in your life that you've had to experience lately on a public forum, and that shows a lot. So, Doctor, the part that you missed in the beginning was through the process of some pain management at a younger age, right? Randy went to a physician, which put her on some pretty strong painkillers, I believe some Percocets right off the bat with a combination of Xanax. And at the time, you know, it was one of those doctors that a lot of people would go to for those kind of like a doctor shopping type of facility. Randy wasn't going there for those reasons. She was going for physical pain and the depression she was feeling. And that kind of started her on her journey. And from that point on, it's like we know what those medications do when especially when there's emotional stuff underneath it that hasn't been, you know, processed, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. So it took her down a route of progression of addiction. The progression of her addiction all subsequently led to, how long did it take from the time you started really using to going through the difficulty of losing your children? How long was that whole process?
Wow, it got really bad the last 2 years. So where I was like actually like buying scripts and stuff like that, and then someone. Oh, I went to my job. I was working at the Ocean County Health Department for 10 years. My job realized that I was slipping up and stuff like that, and the freaking health department, they just fired me. They didn't. A lot of places will get their employer help, but sure. I got fired, and after 10 years, and that was it. And then DIFUS got involved, they made me go to a urgent care place to say that I was okay to be at work, which I wasn't. I was completely not okay, and everybody was. You know, I have lost everybody in my life. Everybody. I don't have anybody.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. So Doc, the part about that was, you know, so it's been a long battle with addictions, and we all know the progression of it, man. It starts to impact us with our emotions, with our family, with our children, with our jobs, with our health, with our, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where she is right now. And on top of that, it sounds like you lost your mom last year too, right? Or last year? Yeah.
Last year she got sepsis. She was really into her addiction. I don't want to just say, oh, I was just on pain pills, but I mean, just because I wasn't used like an IV heroin user doesn't mean that I don't suffer from addiction.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this, Randy, I know that, you know, they've been telling you or recommending or suggesting that you get into some treatment program, and you say, hey, you know, I know the battle with my benzos is going to go longer. For someone like me, because, you know, I'm an addiction therapist here, the reason why I would recommend treatment for you is not just to get off the drugs and the alcohol, is to process all of that's going on within you and inside you. I know you're working with a therapist, but this is a lot of intensive stuff going on. You know, you have a lot of very, very significant life events that have happened to you in the recent future, that going once a week and chatting and then going back to your regular life in your own world in isolation. You say you don't have anyone in your life. You lost everyone. So that tells me someone is seriously isolated, seriously disconnected, seriously lonely, seriously, you know, depressed, possibly. And support and having people around you and having a healthy environment, it does wonders for human beings. I mean, I'm not just saying that to say that. It actually takes people from a dark place into a better place. And I don't know where you are with what's going on with the Child Protective Services stuff.
Oh, they're in and out of my life right now, because even though I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, everybody knows me now. Like, I mean, I've been in the same town my whole entire life, and but it's like the schools, like I also have a 21-year-old son, so I've raised, you know, a child to his 20s, and I never had any issues. But now DIFUS is they officially closed my case October, and then I had a complaint, allegation January. They reopened my case. It was closed within a month, Then they reopened me again. Another allegation come through because my daughter was constipated, and I called the nurse to tell her, and then it got, I don't know what happened, but apparently the nurse made an allegation saying I wasn't taking care of my daughter, which in reality I am. My kids are what keep me going. It's like my kids are what I have, like, and it's just like now DIFUS just like won't leave me alone, and it's not even like they're concerned about my. I don't know. I don't really.
I understand. I honestly, I do understand. It's the reason I was suggesting the whole, because you are going through it. You're overwhelmed, Randy. You really are. And sometimes being in a recovery supportive community, being in some type of a treatment setting, it does produce and create documents and recommendations of people that are able to see your progress, to say, hey, this individual is seeking recovery. This individual is making significant improvements in X, Y, and Z. So if there ever is an allegation, if there ever is a court date, if there ever is that kind of stuff that comes up, you are more well prepared to show up for that, and that is just a part of our systems. It's a part of the way it is. And you have a saying that, but there's a lot of healing you got to do, Randy. And I'll let Dr. B take on the part about the difficulty of getting off of long-term benzodiazepine use in conjunction with methadone, correct? Methadone is what you said, yeah. So Dr. B, take it from there, but it was a really courageous and brave call.
Hi, Randy. Thanks, Parham.
Hi.
Hi. I'm going to ask you some really rapid questions if you don't want to answer it. And this is not medical advice. It's just so I can process the whole enchilada. What decade? You look quite young. Are you in your 30s, 40s?
I'll be 39 next month.
Okay. All right. And can I ask you your dose of methadone? I'm
on 140 now.
Uh-huh. And
I've been on 140 for about a year. And I'm prescribed 0.5 Klonopin 3 times a day, but the doctor said that because I'm on methadone, that's their limit.
Uh-huh. And how old's your youngest child?
My youngest, she'll be 8 in April as well.
Mm-hmm. And can I ask you what kind of work you do?
I don't work. I can't. I'm so out of it that I can't work. Not like Parham said, that it's like mostly my depression, my anxiety, like all that, like is, and with the kids and COVID and stuff like that, I don't work. Just point blank.
Is there any supportive human beings in your life, family or otherwise, that give you comfort and allow you to express yourself in an honest way or help you in any way with the demands of everyday life?
No.
Okay. All right. And how old? How long have you been on methadone?
May 17 will be 3 years.
Okay. All right. That's been going okay?
Yeah, that's been going okay.
Okay. And the Klonopin 0.5 milligrams 3 times a day, how long have you been on that?
That's been, I'll be honest, I'm not taking that. Like, I take way more than that. Like right now, like I have not had my Klonopin for a couple of days, but I mean, obviously I have gotten something to keep me okay until I get my refill.
Yeah, okay.
But
I don't want to get into it. So that's where I was going to. And in fact, I saw Alexis here because that's usually the case. And at the moment, your issue is you have an incredible amount of anxiety. You have an incredible amount of depression. You're probably having difficulty sleeping as well. Are you?
Yeah, I don't sleep.
Yeah. So you're having difficulty sleeping as well. And you feel like you're on the edge all the time. At the same time, the guy wants to get you off the Klonopin. Is that what it is? Is that what the issue is? he
Well,
said.
no, it's that I want it. I think that mentally, I think I'm doing damage to my brain. I think that like
Okay.
right.
Yeah, so I got it. And then are you on any antidepressants?
No, he did prescribe Celexa, but I didn't want to take another substance I would come off of. I'm like, I'm already on 2 substances I don't want to be on.
Got it.
And it's
So sorry, I'm just real quick. And so you're only seeing a therapist once a week?
yeah, I mean, I can up her. At first, it was only once a month, and
Oh.
then she realized that I needed more.
Do you like
So
her?
now we're at once a week.
Do you like her?
Yeah, I'm totally honest with her. Yes.
Good. All right. So here's my quick thoughts on that issue. There is nothing that is, if you notice, I ask questions that to you may not seem directly linked to, hey, how do I get off of benzos? There's nothing that's a knee-jerk reaction. And if a practitioner does that, they're an idiot. Okay. So you have to take the whole presentation of someone's pathophysiology and mental health in this case, okay, and the idea you have this idea, got to get off this, and I can't get on antidepressants either. All right, so that's not the way I want you to really approach this. Okay, number one, find a really good practitioner. Number two, you really got to take you got to increase your engagement with mental health, whatever your resources are. I don't know what they are, whether it's treatment. So I use the term mental health as a general catch-all. You need that, okay? And as far as the medication and your practitioner, let me tell you, your practitioner, your medical practitioner, is just as important in terms of their, I always tell people a monkey can write you a prescription. I'm not a monkey, right? I have to really be able to engage you and figure out what your needs are, understand all of your issues, give you feedback, educate you, get on the right medication, stabilize the way you're feeling with the help of whatever intervention I do mental health wise and my medication, and make sure you're plugged in. Then worry about tapering off of this. You're going to get Alzheimer's. You're not going to get Alzheimer's for bringing 0.5 milligrams of Klonopin 3 times a day. You are going to get sick or have a bad outcome. You need to take care of this whole thing. And there's nothing like, like I said, even if it was Xanax, but there is a problem, you're overusing it, right? That all needs to get under control, right? And I don't want to use the term holistic in the way that it's used, but I do mean holistic. All of it has to fall in together. So don't worry, get your mind off of, I got to get off of this. Get your mind on, what is the right care in terms of medication, my doctor, my mental health provider, and get that straight and then move forward. I hope that helps, Randy. And I really, really feel for you and with you.
Thank you both.
You got it, Randy. Stay strong.
Thank you.
You got this.
Thanks.
She was great. Oh, we got Alexis. Okay. Wow. I hate the Parham, there's way too many questions. I suck.
No, it's okay. I don't have that much more time today, just so you know.
Okay, guys, this is, I told her to come on today. This is Parham, Alexis. I just want to let everybody out there know TikTok, YouTube. I've always been sort of a lone wolf. And even when I was in academic medicine, I just like the way I do things, and I like to do my own thing. My practice, all of our practices, one of my biggest problems has been growth, and I don't know what to do. And clinically, the idea of bringing someone on has been a silly idea to me, because I always feel no one knows what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And so this year we brought on Alexis, and you guys should all know that she's recently graduated, and we vetted a lot of people. So she understands everything I'm doing, everything I'm saying. constantly educating herself. She is an amazing part of the whole team that we have here. So I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody. And sometimes maybe her and Parham will do some stuff. I don't know, but say hi, Alexis.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alexis. I'm a PA. I recently graduated back in December, and I trained under Dr. B for quite some time prior to that. So I feel very fortunate to be a part of this practice, part of this live stream today, and I've been watching this entire time. So I appreciate the strength and bravery it took for those of you who shared, whether in the chat or on the video. We all can learn from you and hopefully help you along your way. In the meantime, especially those of you who are international, I know it might feel a little bit difficult and a little lonely, but we're so grateful for you and for being here and for potentially helping other people in their journeys as well.
Thank you, Alexis. And Alexis is awesome. I love it. I don't get upset when someone's like, hey, is Alexis there? Forget Dr. B. I'm like, I got a little bit of breathing room. And she's establishing rapport with patients. So I wanted to introduce her. And Alexis, thanks for coming on. And you and I will be talking soon, huh?
All the time. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Alexis.
Bye, Alexis.
Bye.
Parham, what do we do? That was Alexis. I just wanted her to come on and say hi. She's pretty badass. There's so many questions, and I know you got to go early today. And
well, we've been on for 2 hours, man. Time just flies when we're talking. It's great. No, I can stay on a little bit longer. If there's a few questions.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me.
If there's a few questions here, I'm okay. I'm okay with responding to a couple more.
Oh, there's Merck. I love Merck. Hi, Merck. All right, pick one, and we'll do it. We gotta. Well, as this goes, we got to figure out a way where we're. Oh well, for the hedges. Oh, someone loves that book. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Pick one.
Trying to find something here.
Great questions. These guys got to be jumping on here. I'm gonna let Parham pick another question or two. This is great, and I gotta get. I don't know. We'll get this in a much more rapid way so we can answer more questions.
Let's see. That was nice. So you got a good compliment there. Let's just highlight on that because I think there is a value to what we're doing. So the Sierra Workman right there just said, just want to say thank you, Dr. B, for reminding me that there are doctors out there that do care about us in addiction. I just kind of, that's the essence of why we're doing this, Doc. That's, to be honest with you, it's to bring a very professional physician on with myself, which, you know, in the field addiction space, I consider myself a professional. And to be able to provide a weekly, consistent, ongoing message that, yes, we do care. We look at individuals individually. We listen. We take time to provide best responses to the individualized answers. And this is something you guys can count on. So my vision for this, by the way, is as we do this, we continue to receive questions, have more people coming on, interacting, be a solution for some of you who might be feeling like you need additional support, might feel like you are lonely, might feel like that you just need a community out there to be able to help you through this. And I've seen a lot of consistency in the last 3 or 4 weeks with the people that are participating. So that means the viewers are sticking. And as you know, people overestimate what they can do in 30 days and underestimate what they can do in a year. So I'm really excited to see what happens to this, not just next week, next month, but next year, to see where this has gone and how many more people like Sierra have the same feeling of watching this show and hopefully tuning into a podcast version of this.
Yeah, Sierra, thank you. That's thoughtful of you. And in fact, Parham, you are a professional. Parham is another guy that really, in my mind, I was vetting through how do I get somebody like this on where I can start this. That one took 2 or 3 years to find somebody like him. Dedicated, professional, knowledgeable, kind, and just badass all around. So we will develop this in whatever way it goes. So that is great. Oh, look, there's Diana. She's great. Diana, you want to come on? You got to meet Diana if she comes on our. She is she's so awesome. Diana, if you want, come say hi to Parham. But there is Diana. She's super cool. Any other one that you see on here?
No, not for today, man. I got to kind of get out of here, but it's okay. Yeah.
So go ahead, Parham.
No, that's it, man. Just I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We're gonna wrap this up today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we need your feedback. You can actually go on to, we'll figure out a way where you guys can give us feedback when we're offline. Every Sunday, Parham, unless we change it, 1:45 p.m. If you have ideas of a topic, let us know. Whatever. This is for you. We're going to develop this for you in all the ways that Parham said, and hopefully more. We want to be a community for you. We want to be a source of information, and don't discount yourselves and the value you all contribute to the ongoing interaction. There's a lot of education as you guys go back and forth in the comments. There's a lot of support. And it's just a wonderful thing. So you guys are a part of your own recovery and what you feed to each other. Don't forget that. You'd please subscribe, like. Same with you guys on TikTok. Parham, thank you so much. Nicole, thank you so much. Alexis, thank you so much. Anything to finish off there, Parham?
No, man. I'm going to leave it on that. That was perfect. Well said, Doc.
Thank you. We will see you guys all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh.
You might want to hit the end live stream.
End broadcast? Yeah, I always suck it. Now I got to figure it out on TikTok. Bye, guys. Sierra said thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, bye.